Now we're going to be transferring our designs onto the tooling foil. And tooling foil is heavyweight aluminum foil, basically. Its natural color is silver, but we're going to have tooling foil that has a coating on one side that's gold. So you can pick gold or silver. So your first choice will be whether or not you want a gold embossed artwork or a silver. You are going to cut out your design, and hopefully your design has a simplified drawing of a creature. You used the molas for inspiration. You drew an outline, possibly two around it. You included a couple other things from nature, one or two. I have stars. And then you include some of the patterns you saw in the molas. Cut it out, and then you're going to put it on top of your tooling foil with one piece of masking tape. Shouldn't even need two, one should be fine, just so it holds still. Now you are going to put it on top of the right side. So if I want gold, I'm going to put it on top of gold. If I want silver, I'm going to put it on top of silver. You will then need a craft stick and a magazine. These are just old magazines. We're not going to worry about, we're not reading them, we're using them for a soft surface. You place the tooling foil and the design, so the design's attached. It's attached to the correct side. I've already worked on mine. Onto the magazine. Now, another possibility for this step might help you. You could do this with a pencil. Thing is, you don't want a sharp pencil. You want a dull pencil, or use the craft stick. Do not sharpen these craft sticks. They're supposed to be dull. We don't want to poke through. So with either a pencil or your craft stick, you are going to go over all your lines, and as you push, because the magazine is soft, this won't work on the table, it pushes it into the tooling foil. And I've already done this, so I'll show you this in a minute. It makes a mark. So advantage of the pencil is you can kind of see where you've gone over your lines again, but you can also always look and see where you've done it. Now, really small details that I could freehand draw later, some of these patterns, like those 4 squares, the face, I could do all that later. I don't have any problem freehand drawing that, but the basics you're going to get on there. Then once you've drawn it all, you're going to take this off. Now, we're going to keep these because there's going to be times where you're going to want to refer to this and go, oh, yeah, what did my design look like? Then you're going to take the craft stick and go over all your lines again so that you can really see them. Some of these, yeah, sometimes I even have to refer to my original drawing to go, what is this line? So I'm going to go over all of them again. And I've noticed with the elementary school projects with tooling foil, that's about what you guys did. And you didn't do any more than that. You usually colored them or used an ink patina on it. We're going to go a step further with this because there's other stuff tooling foil can do. So once you have your design, it's all on here, you can see it, it all looks good. Then we're going to go that step further. We are going to emboss the surface, which means to raise up the surface by working repose, which is from the back. So you are going to think about in your design things you would like raised up. Think about your clay tiles, how we carved away to make different layers. Now we're going to make different layers by embossing these from the back. So for example, I think I would like my cat to be raised up higher so it's the main subject and you really see it. So when I look at this, I think I'd like to raise this cat up the highest, maybe the stars, so they really stand out. Then I might go in and make some of these smaller details a little bit more raised up. So think about low, middle, and high relief, just like we did with our clay tiles, except the technique to get it will be different. So here's how you do it. I'm going to raise up the cat. I'm going to emboss. So embossing means you work from the back to raise up the surface, and I'm going to turn this over. Now, I'm going to use the back of my craft stick. And notice I have the magazine here, but I also slid my hand under here. I'm going to go over the whole body of the cat. Now, with embossing on tooling foil, as you do this, it stretches. And I don't know if you've ever noticed this with aluminum foil too, you can stretch it. But you notice with aluminum foil how it crumples. We don't want this to crumple. So I'm going over the whole body of the cat. I'm using the back because that gives me, you don't want to poke through this. Now while I'm doing this, there were some details on this cat that I'm kind of losing, but I'll get those back later. So going over this. And then it's a back and forth thing. I'm going to go to the front. Let me see if you can see that it's slightly raised up already. See that? Now I don't want the rest of this to bend. So I'm going to go around, I take the point of my craft stick and I go back and kind of outline, do a little smoothing out, because I only want to raise up the cat. I don't want to crumple and wreck the rest of my tooling foil. So I go around from the front and smooth it out a little bit, outline it, and then I go back again, turn it over, slide my hand under, use the back of this, and I'm going to keep working. Now if the space is too small for the front or the back of the craft stick, you can use the point. Just be careful that you don't poke through. Some of these feet are a little small. And I'm going to keep doing that. And it takes a while. And then I'm going to go to the front again. Going to kind of make sure it's not getting crumpled anywhere else. Going to just do a quick outline. I'm really just checking. You are going to get a few wrinkles and things like that, but try to keep it to a minimum. And I keep doing that back and forth, keeping my hand under it. Now the magazine's still there. It's just a better surface when I do that thing where I turn to the front. You don't ever want to do this directly on the table because the table is too hard and it won't allow you to emboss. So I keep doing that. And as I keep doing that, I'm going to gradually get the cat raised up. And I can do the same with the stars. And I might need to use the point on here, my hands under here. Now the other problem with using the point is it makes more lines and kind of texture. Just make that texture work for you. Be aware that it's going to happen. So then I turn it to the front. Smooth out and outline around it, go back. So this is one of those things that tooling foil is really good at that I don't see so much in the elementary school projects because they're teaching you the basics, and now we're going to learn something new about a technique. Technique is called embossing, and embossing is when you work from the back to make a raised up surface. Now, let me show you some that I've been working on more. So right now I've just got the cat a little bit raised up, the star a little bit raised up, but let me show you what you can do. Here's another one I've been working on longer, and this is a cat. It's got some coloring on it already, but we'll ignore that for now. Notice how I've got the head of the cat raised up and the body. Let me see if I can show you that from the side. And then I'm working on raising up the flowers too. Let's see if you can see it from there. So same deal. I'm working, you can see how it's indented in the back. So same thing, I had this and I was working on stretching this, embossing it from the back to make this raised up surface on the front. Now, yes, we're going to be coloring these, but let me show you how to add details before we color them. So once you get things raised up, like here we'll go back to this cat. So once I have the cat raised up the amount I want it, and I feel like I could work on this more, but I'll show you the next step. Now, one of the things that happened is I used to have squares here and now they're gone. I don't want to push from this side because this cat is raised up. So I'm going to go to this side and I'm going to draw them. And I got the magazine under me because I don't want to squish the raised up surface. I'm going to draw them from the back, which will give me, and I used to have dots on the tail. I'm going to draw them from the back. Remember, the magazine's there so that I have a nice, so anything that's raised up, you're going to draw the designs from the back. Now, the reverse is true. If you have something that is going to be flat, like let's say right here on mine, this is going to stay flat, then I can emboss from the front. So maybe I decide I want a whole bunch of little lines here to really give it some interesting depth and texture to it. I can draw right on the front, and as long as this is going to stay flat, that's never a problem. So see what I just did there? Which actually pushes it out to ridges in the back, but the artwork's on the front. So be aware that if you're going to add detail to something that's been embossed from the back, repose is the fancy artwork for from the back, then you're going to draw from the back. If you have something that's going to be flat anyway, and you're going to draw on it to give it some detail, then you can draw right on the front. And to emboss large areas from the back, you use the back of the craft stick. To emboss small areas from the back, you can use the point. Now, whenever possible, I try to use the back because it doesn't leave as many lines on it and is less likely to poke through. So here I'm doing a relatively small surface, but I'm working from the back, and then it's raised up on the front. Let's see if I can get you to see that. It's this one right here. And to define it, I go around it. If I want to draw a design on it, because that one's raised up, I'm going to work from the back to draw a design on it. Now, if you should tear your tooling foil, so sometimes, yeah, you're pushing on it, you're embossing it, and it rips. Don't work in that area anymore. You just got to stop there. Every time you push there, it's going to make it worse, and you just need to stop working there and move on to another place. If you're going to emboss a large area, you want to do it all really gradually at the same time. So don't emboss a small portion of it really a lot. You want to do the whole thing a little, then the whole thing a little more, then the whole thing a little more. And tooling foil is wonderful for both embossing and creating patterns and texture. So have some fun with it. See what tooling foil is capable of. Learn more about the technique of working with the material of tooling foil and the technique of embossing.